Every day in the courtroom, there's about this morning 15-minute window where you really just get to observe people. The court is not in session, the judge is not on the bench, the jurors are not in the room, the press pews are filled, we're all patiently waiting, we've got our little notebooks, the public pews are getting filled, and all the attorneys will walk in. And they'll walk in through like the middle aisle. So you watch the prosecutors walk in, you watch the defense attorneys walk in, and you can kind of get a gauge of who is extra stressed that day, or like what's the dynamic. And this morning, there is a situation with a banana gun in the courtroom. Mark Garagos. A banana gun, a fructose weapon. Okay, Mark Garagos, this is Tenny's father. This is not Mark Agnifilo. He is not one of the lead counsel. He's Tenny's father. He's also a celebrity attorney. This is the man who called the prosecution team a six-pack of white women. That Mark Garagos. He walks in holding a banana, and like curiously, he's not holding it like someone would regularly hold a banana. He's holding it like a weapon. Like it's like flung to the side like a barrel of a gun, and he's holding it by the edge, and he's kind of like holding it in front of him, again, like a fructose weapon. I genuinely don't know why he's holding it like that. Like a federal weapon with the serial number scratched off.
Is he like feeling playful or something?
I think so, and he wants to give it to his daughter Tenny. So he's walking towards the gate. There's like this wooden gate that separates all the pews from what some people call like the bullpen. That's where the attorneys are, that's where the jurors are, that's where the bench is. That's like where the invisible force field is. Okay, he walks towards the gate. He's not gonna go through the gate, but Officer Riz, he's standing right next to him just supervising. And like everyone in the press pews is always already giggle-gaggling because when you put Mark Garagos and Officer Riz together, it's like slightly the only moments of comedy throughout a very serious day. Because I swear to you, Officer Riz does not care that this man is Mark Garagos. Like he literally does not care who anybody is unless it's the judge and the jurors. So he's standing, arms on his hips, supervising Mark Garagos, trying to do a relay race with this banana. They walk to the front, Tenny's not even there. So now he's just like holding this fructose weapon, and Officer Riz is side-eyeing him, and so then they spot Tenny on the side. So she's like where the pews are, and she's sitting off to the side. She's deep in her binder. She's doing the cross-examination of Jane Doe, and she's preparing. And he walks up to her, hands her the banana gun, and she won't even look at her dad. She won't even take the banana gun, and she's like, just like put it over there. Like that's what it sounds like she's saying. Because it does not matter if you're a celebrity attorney. It does not matter how rich you are. Your kids will always be your biggest ops. So Mark Garagos is rejected. He's shut down by his own offspring. He walks back to the front gate and then hands it to Mark Agnifilo without any explanation. And then he and Officer Riz walks away. And then all the press pews, we just see Mark Agnifilo standing there confused, holding a banana. And he's just like staring off into the distance, like so confused. And we can't even explain to him what we saw because it's like an invisible force field. Now, gearing up for the cross-examination of Jane, the entire courtroom energy is slowly shifting. Like this banana situation was the only lighter moment to this entire trial day. Everyone is waiting for the jurors to walk in. The judge says, "All rise," but it's just his intern that walks in. Like this is how everybody seems very pent up. Like we're all like standing on alert, and he says, "Oh, please be seated. This is actually my intern's very first day, so it's nice for everybody to stand up." So the judge thought the jurors were coming in, so he said, "All rise," because everyone needs to stand for the jurors. So we stand when the judge walks in and walks out, and then he'll be like, "Please be seated." And then we all have to rise when the jurors walk in and walk out. He thought the jurors were walking in because the door opened, and then like we look and we're like, "That's not a juror," and it's literally just his intern like standing there like this. And then the judge is like, "This is actually my intern's very first day, so it's nice for everyone to stand up for him." And so everybody giggles, but again, it's like not really giggling. And I think this made me feel like it's normal to laugh in uncomfortable positions because I've always been very insecure. Like when I feel uncomfortable, I start laughing. Everyone in this courtroom constantly laughs when nothing is funny because it's just so much tension. So you're just like, okay, like let me find some lightness. Now the only person that is never tense is Maureen Comey. She walks in every day like she's walking into Panera Bread to pick up a bagel.
The lead prosecutor.
Yeah. She's walking in like she's here to pick up her coffee order. Like I've never seen this woman stressed. I mean, it makes sense. Her father was the former FBI director, but it feels like this is her vacation from life. Tenny's at the lectern. She does not look as calm. She has a giant post-it on the lectern monitor that reads Jane. Likely so she doesn't mess up and use her real name. Considering they've actually met before. So Jane is a familiar face. Remember, Jane has met with Sean Combs' defense attorneys up until even April of this year, just a month before the trial kicked off.
Okay, yeah. In what context again? Sorry.
We don't really know the context because it's privileged information.
Okay.
But it was pertaining to the case.
Yeah.
Now, which speaking of familiar faces, this happened more recently, but Sunday was Father's Day, and all the Combs kids are like posting very intense Father's Day posts on Sunday about their like undying love for their father, which is understandable. It's Father's Day. But then on Monday, not a single one of them show up. I think a lot of the press pews were a little bit confused because, you know, we're all like watching everyone on Instagram. So it's just a little weird, you know, and I'm sure they have schedules, but this seems like the most important schedule going on. Their attendance has been splotchy. There have been whispers in the courtroom that at times the defendant will turn around and seemingly be very upset that the family pews are lessening in attendance. And then usually when he shows a moment of what we perceive to be upsetness with the empty pews, the next day the pews will be packed. But there is one day where Christian Combs does show up, and he's wearing a Free Sean Combs shirt. He did wear this mesh shirt on top to kind of make the shirt blurrier, but it's still pretty obvious what he's wearing. I mean, so much so that the defendant is turning around all smiles, pointing at Christian's shirt, and he looks giddy, and everyone else is confused because this is not allowed. Like, you cannot be wearing shirts like this.
Why is it not allowed?
It's not... Like, you can't make these types of statements in a courtroom. So you can't really wear like politically promotional t-shirts, especially if you're in the family pews. I think maybe it could be okay if you were in the public pews, but I did hear that there was like a commotion after people found out about that shirt that he was wearing. That was a thing that was happening, but everyone's still trying to focus on Jane Doe's testimony. And remember how I said, yes, I see some jurors smirking. Yes, I see them kind of falling asleep, being less engaged in this testimony. I still thought at the end of the day, maybe it's like me, because I will say there is a split in the courtroom. When I'm in the courtroom and when I watch these cross-examinations in person, there's like an energy shift in there. And I analyze the jurors' faces every single day. I'm staring at them. They're literally in my line of sight. I see all of this and I'm taking it in, and I start feeling like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if the defense attorneys are just so damn good at their jobs that they're able to like control the emotions in the courtroom to make you feel like all the points that they're making are so valid. But sometimes I walk out of there thinking, wow, they made so many points. And then I come home, I read the transcript, I go over my notes, I let the emotions soak in, and I'm like, that point didn't really make sense. Like, that point was not really a point. So I thought in my head, okay, perhaps the jurors, the same thing's happening to them. First of all, I don't know why they're smirking. They could be smirking about something unrelated, but perhaps they're smirking and then they go home, sit on the information, and then they realize maybe that wasn't a point. I don't know. Maybe they realize it was a point. However, this is where I started getting kind of nervous. The public pews, sometimes in the hallways, I try to eavesdrop because I'm like trying to see how people feel about the case and like feel about the day's testimony. The press pews, these are like really crazy reporters. A lot of them, they're very good at not talking about how they feel about the case. Like, everyone's just trying to keep it professional, keep it neutral in the courthouse. However, recently, there was a Homeland Security agent inside of the courtroom, which we've seen a few of them testify, but this one happened to be sitting right in front of us during Jane's testimony, during Jane's entire testimony. And she's been having moments where it just seems like she seems a little emotionally volatile. Like, there are a few things that have happened where it just seems like she seems tense, like very stressed out, and that is completely understandable, right? Because Homeland Security, they were the ones in charge of this investigation. So you know how sometimes the FBI is involved in these criminal investigations? Homeland Security is the one in charge of this one. And like, just to give you an idea, because I don't think people talk about Homeland Security as often, they run ICE. Like, this is a huge government entity. So she's sitting there. She seems very volatile. She seems like emotionally perturbed. And then one of the senior reporters turns to us and says, you know who she is, right? She's a Homeland Security agent. And we're like, yeah, she seems a little like on edge these days. And he says, but you know why, right? Because she thinks the entire case is falling apart. And so she's freaking out.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, what? What does that mean? What do you mean the entire case is falling apart? So I went through all of Jane's cross-examination all over again, just so if I could pinpoint all the parts where this case could potentially fall apart. I'd like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the New York Immigration Coalition. They are an umbrella policy and advocacy organization that represents over 200 immigrant and refugee rights groups throughout New York. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates. As always, full show notes are available at RottenMangoPodcast.com. Some of the quotes and statements have been shortened, combined, and or condensed for brevity. Today's episodes also has a few disclaimers regarding mentions of DV, physical, SA, and trafficking. Please take care of yourself if you need to. Also, lots of drug abuse and drug usage. Those are the disclaimers. You guys know the drill. Please take it easy if it's too rough. At the time of the filming of this episode, Diddy is innocent until proven guilty, and all the charges that he's been indicted on are still just alleged. Any and all observations have been recorded by me or my researchers in real time inside the courtroom. However, any speculations, comments, or opinions about any observable reactions that we have witnessed in the courtroom, those are just our interpretations. We honestly don't know what anyone is thinking. I don't think any single one of us are mind readers. So I'm just telling you this was the feeling and the energy that I got, but it might not even be accurate. It might not even be rooted in reality. So with that being said, let's get started. When Jane walks back into the courtroom, it is now time for the cross-examination to begin. And it's kind of interesting because Tenny is going to be doing the cross-examination. Jane and Tenny, they are smiling warmly at each other, which is confusing everybody because, again, we know that Jane and Tenny met at least in April of this year, which was 2 months ago, 1 month before the trial kicked off. So we don't know how close they are. We don't know what their dynamic is going to be. And during the direct, it did seem like Tenny was very stressed. There would be times where it seems like she wanted to object to Comey's line of questioning. So if you're doing the cross-examination, you're the one objecting to the direct testimony, like the questions where you don't think that they should be asking these questions. But Tenny keeps glancing at Mark Agnifilo to get a sign on whether she should or should not object. At one point, it seemed like Mark Agnifilo gave her the signal to object, but it seemed like a very tense situation. And all of that goes away rather quickly because eventually she just starts throwing objection to every question that Maureen Comey is asking. Maureen Comey is breathing and Tenny Garrigos is objecting. Now, Sean Combs always has a lot more confidence when it's the cross-examination days. It feels like maybe it's their time to take control, which that's understandable. He's typically bolder in his mannerisms. I mean, nobody has any clue like how this dynamic is about to play out. And it begins. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Miss Garagos. As Miss Comey said, we've met before, right? Yes. Tenny clarifies that Combs is paying for Jane's attorney because he is, and that came out in the direct testimony. But Jane clarifies that Sean Combs has never attempted to interfere with representation. But it's still so strange because technically Jane is testifying against Combs and he's paying for her attorney. How can there not be a conflict of interest?
Yeah.
The less she says about him in a negative light, the better for him, and he's paying the attorney. Now, I'm not saying that the attorney is doing anything incorrectly. It just seems like a very tricky situation where you would have to follow lots of different red tapes. I think in the perfect professional setting, it can be done, but it just seems weird. More interesting is when Tenny asks Jane on the stand, and you're testifying here at this trial against Mr. Combs despite him paying for your attorney, right? Jane responds, I'm testifying against him? Jane looks genuinely confused. Then the jurors look genuinely confused, and they're glancing between Tenny and Jane because none of this is making sense anymore. I think that she just thought that she was testifying.
Wow.
Yeah, and Jane states that she's really only here because she's been subpoenaed by the government and she has an immunity plea in place. So right off the bat, Tenny clarifies a few things. Jane tells her that she has not spoken to Sean Combs since his arrest in 2024, so that was 8 months ago. And the defense, they start trying to establish just how in love Jane was with Combs. They talk about his last album and if Jane joined him in the studio, with Tenny asking, did you like seeing him in that environment? I liked seeing him in any environment. And I think you testified yesterday that you felt what you really loved and craved about these nights were the closeness that you and him had after the entertainer left, right? Any time with him, I loved. So Tenny starts asking questions such as, can you please tell me? I mean, I know you talked about a little bit about this on Direct, but you said that you fell in love with him because he was this larger than life, charismatic personality. Can you explain what that is? Why did you feel like he was this larger than life, charismatic personality? Combs is moving in his chair so that he can see Jane better. He's like sitting in his Shark Tank position, tapping his fingers against his thighs. It appears to an outsider that clearly has no idea what he's thinking, but it just looks like he's ready to hear the compliments roll in. Like, that is the feeling that I get from that action. Jane responds, I was fascinated by him. He was just something unique and different. Like, I had never met anybody with such a big personality and very big energy and very motivating, encouraging, and just larger than life. He wasn't afraid to have his voice heard, and it was attractive. It feels like right off the bat, a good chunk of the cross-examination was for the defense to try and establish that Jane is someone who was lovesick for Sean Combs, was willing to do whatever to stay with him. And they start working overtime to create a very specific image of Jane, to leave jurors with the impression that Jane is a very specific certain type of person, which is an influencer. Now, this is the part where I'm like, this is not going to be good, in the sense that whenever I talk to people out and about, it could be in a personal, professional setting, a casual setting, it doesn't matter. If people ask me what I do, I come up with 25 words to avoid the word influencer. I will say 5 sentences of rambling about how I make videos for the internet before I say the word influencer, because every time I've ever said, oh, I'm like an influencer, people always have slightly negative, visible reactions on their face.
Yeah.
There is such a strong connotation associated with that word. I mean, people see influencers as vain, vapid, brainless, brand obsessed, troublemakers on the internet. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It's up for people to decide. And it just feels like Tenny's leaning into that. When asking about hotel night outfits, Jane says the high heels that Sean Combs would make her wear were like 6-7 inches tall. Tenny asks her, but you're somebody who regularly wears high heels in your daily life, right? Which, if she's not trying to lean into that kind of image for Jane, I don't know why she's asking about her heels. Like, she's not a foot doctor. Is she Sir Christian Louboutin? Jane responds, these are a particular kind of high heels, so I would say I would occasionally wear these types of heels, but in real life, I would wear things that are about 3 to 4 inches in real life. Okay, but so you're not accustomed to wearing high heels, maybe not these ones, but in your real life, you're accustomed to wearing these high heels outside of the hotel rooms, right? Yes. Including 4-inch ones? Yes. Maybe not 5 to 7-inch ones. Yes. Later, the jurors see a photo of Jane and Combs in the studio where Jane is wearing tall heels. I know that you talked about the 5 to 7-inch heels that you would wear during hotel nights. This is not it, right? No, these are not it. These are more of like your kind of everyday heels, right? Yes. One of the jurors makes a woo facial expression.
Why?
Like, because they're tall. Because nobody really wears heels every day.
Right.
I mean, it's like a very small group of people that wear heels every day, right? So she makes like a woo, like, woo, those are tall. That's what it seemed like. All I observed was her making the woo, like that kind of mouth expression. Now, I don't think that, I mean, that makes me feel like Tenny's not taking shots in the dark. Like, this might be working for some jurors. It just makes her feel like a different, not as relatable person, perhaps. So the ones that you would wear on a normal day-to-day basis are these heels, right? Yes. Side note, at this point, the sons in the family pews, this is a day that they are here, they're sharing chapstick, and I got very distracted because they're like sharing a tub of lip balm, and Justin Combs likes to apply it with his pinky finger, and then Quincy likes to dip his knuckle into it and then apply it using his entire index finger knuckle. And it's just very interesting that something so serious is happening and they're all just like pouty face applying chapstick. Not that anything's wrong with it, but it's just like, I'm telling you, the court energy, every pew is like a different energy. It just feels like 25 different mixes of things going on. Then out of nowhere, when talking about Jane moving from the East Coast to LA to be with Combs, Tenny is asking, and you were on the East Coast in 2020 because you wanted your child to be closer to the child's father, right? Yes. And during that time you were on the East Coast, did your child's father see your child at all? Jane looks confused. She looks agitated. And she literally responds, what does that have to do with this whole thing? Why did you move to LA? I moved to Los Angeles because the purpose of living on the East Coast wasn't being fulfilled, so we moved. And you've previously told the government that you've always gravitated towards providers. Do you remember telling them that? Yes. Can you explain that? Yes, I do find men who are successful attractive. As a woman, my ideal partner is a protector and a provider. Combs is again tapping Mark to scooch to the right. Mark then tells Alexandra Shapiro, who's sitting on the right of him in Tenny's old spot, to scooch to the right. So Alexandra Shapiro scooches, Mark scooches, Combs scooches, and they're all scooching in their chair, presumably so that Combs can get a better look at Jane. Tenny brings up the house that Jane lives in, the one that costs $10,000 a month, and nobody in the courtroom is allowed to forget about it. Tenny shows the jurors messages from Jane texting Combs about the house before moving in, trying to get him to agree to it. And she explains that she got approved and they need first and last month's rent and 2 months of rent for security deposit, totaling about $40,000. Nobody in the defense wants us to forget that he's paying $10,000 a month for her rent and $40,000 for moving in fees. It will forever be ingrained in every brain, just etched in there with Sharpie. So then they go down the list of gifts. It's like tax season. Tenny starts asking Jane, then how many shoes did you get? I think it was like 1 pair of shoes, 1 bag. What was the bag? Bottega. And you were happy with those gifts, right? Yes. Tenny brings up a text message where perhaps Jane was not happy with those gifts. It's a text thread where Jane texts Combs about how he treats her versus how he treats his other girlfriends. Now, one in particular is really stressing Jane out. So she texts Combs, I see what I'm turning into in your eyes while homegirl is literally ran through and fucks your friends behind your back. And did you get her a fucking Chanel bag on top of that? LOL, crazy. I don't like how you're treating me and what I'm seeing. I need a breather and a break from you. This doesn't feel good at all. Your true intentions with me are in plain sight. Tenny lets the text message just sit in the air. And then she asks, and then you say, did you get her a fucking Chanel bag on top of that? LOL crazy? Yes, my misdirected anger towards the women when my anger is truly for him and how mistreated I felt in the relationship. And you are mistreated because this other person got a Chanel bag. Why are you saying Chanel bag? I'm being mistreated because the pressure that my partner was putting on me was for me to have sex with strangers, and when he leaves, he goes and spends quality time and shopping and dining, etc., with the others. Did this person post a Chanel bag on their Instagram stories? Yes. And you didn't get the Chanel bag. This other person was getting a Chanel bag, right? No, I only got trauma. You got a Van Cleef necklace, right? There was that. And you got a Bottega bag, right? After 3.5 years, I really don't think I garnered much from this relationship. What is a Bottega bag? And this is when all that friendly smiling disappears because Jane snaps at Tenny's question. What is a Bottega bag? I'm sure you have one. And there is like a moment of like, oh, in the gallery, like almost involuntarily, everyone is like, oh, we don't even know what to say because this was so sudden. I mean, it was amping up. It was getting intense, but for her to be like, I'm sure you have one, because everyone in the press pews knows that Tenny is considered a Nepo baby too. Mm-hmm. And like she does wear like Chanel shoes every day to court. I don't know about every day, but often, and she's very dressed, put together. It seems like she probably does have a Bottega bag or 20. A few jurors have their eyebrows raised. Almost all of them are staring between Tenny and Jane, whipping their heads back and forth. Like, is this really happening? Like, are we about to do this right now? And Tenny's voice is calm, but she seems agitated. I actually don't. What is a Bottega bag? It's a high-end luxury purse for women. And how much do Bottega bags run? How much does my body cost? Again, the whole gallery is either looking down with their eyebrows all the way raised up or just staring bug-eyed at the front. And the judge finally has to come in. Father Arun is like, Jane, I'm gonna ask you to just respond to Ms. Garrigos' questions and your lawyer can follow up. I'm asking roughly how much a Bottega bag costs. Anywhere between $1,500 to $5,000. Okay, and a Chanel bag? How much does a Chanel bag cost? I don't know. Tenny gets her to read messages almost immediately after. And then at the bottom you say, bitch is super ran through and fucks your friends. You think I care about this, right? Right. And all he responds is, have a blessed day, right? Yes. Can we take a break? It is such a sudden break request from Jane when previously during the direct testimony, she has never needed a break. So a lot of people just felt like this is getting it almost felt personal, this back and forth between Tenny and Jane. It just seemed like a lot. So there's a quick break, and during that, Combs turns around to see Quincy in the pews, and he mouths, wow. And then
Quincy mouths wow or
no,
Combs?
Combs mouths wow at Quincy. I don't know why. And then he puts his hand over his heart and then blows a kiss and then puts both arms across his chest.
Like the Black Panther.
Yeah, I guess if like I tried to look up if it means anything else. It has become like a cultural icon symbol, but it is like most famously known as of right now in today's context as the Wakanda Forever symbol. And so it was just like a weird series of like wow, hand over his heart, blow a kiss. It was just like a lot happening.
Huh.
After the break, Jane comes back and apologizes to Tenny, and they dive right back into it. Tenny brings up how on a Paris trip with a bunch of Jane's girlfriends, she tells her friends, quote, "Now I just need a Saudi prince, right?" Which, like, I have seen comments about Jane's testimony online and, like, about these types of parts. And people are just saying, God forbid a girl has a personality. Like, it's the same thing with Cassie saying, like, oh, well, who am I going to date since Jay-Z's already taken? Is it the nicest thing to say? No, but, like, God forbid someone says something snarky once in a while. Does that mean that their entire personality is snarky and they're manipulative?
Yeah.
It's crazy because oftentimes, very bad men will be able to say some really heinous things and it will be considered an isolated event. But when one girl says one slightly snarky thing, it becomes her whole personality. This is who she is. These are her true colors.
Exactly.
It's so bizarre. And also my researcher saw this journalist who was commenting this after Jane's first testimony, like for the video, and they write, "I also believe it's a joke for those in the gallery and the jury pool to pretend that they're shocked and don't know what a cuck is. This fake Puritan nonsense is an absolute joke. Sex work draws a revenue of over $1 billion each year in the US alone. People put on a front regarding sexual activity to fit archaic social norms. The same can be said for OnlyFans. If men were making millions on OnlyFans, they would be called entrepreneurs and nobody would scoff in the gallery or the jury pool. It's honestly an absolute joke that society perpetuates this stigma and would scoff at someone who went through something like this from an admitted abuser like Combs. Jane's testimony is exactly what you expect from someone coerced into a situation. Unfortunately, education is so poor regarding this kind of abuse due to it mainly affecting women, so it's likely some members of the jury don't care due to Combs having money, and they believe that the women around him put up with it to receive gifts from him. And I think that is so accurate because the way people react to the mentions of Bottega bags, even the text message of Jane being upset that someone got a Chanel bag, the reaction is very like, ugh. It almost feels like so vain, couldn't be me. The cross-examination was one of the hardest things to sit through throughout this trial. I mean, they have Jane sitting up on the stand reading explicit message after very explicit message after very explicit message, none of which can even be repeated on most platforms. They're just very explicit. I mean, these are text messages that I would probably delete off my phone just because I don't want my parent to randomly see it if they're on my phone, or it's a lot. And nothing's wrong with it, but I think when they're read out in court, it has a significant impact on the jurors, I imagine. Now, Jane is having to answer that she texted a tongue and water emoji to Combs. Like, this is how specific they're getting with the nitty-gritty. And then the water, is that supposed to be a sexual emoji? Yes. Another emoji during a sexual text thread between Jane and Combs, Tenny asks, "What does that emoji mean to you?" Like, wild and crazy with the tongue out and eyes crossed. Can you explain the smirk emoji? The smirk emoji is kind of like how do I say, is it flirtatious? I would say so, yes. Another text thread, Tenny asks, and then you respond, you send him several emojis, right? Yes. And what are the emojis indicative of? Flirtation, heart eyes, water. Tenny has Jane read another very explicit message about how she had never experienced such things in her life and how her body was reacting to it. Tenny asks her, what are those emojis next to the text message? Big puppy eyes and crying? Okay, is the crying upset crying or happy crying? What does that crying indicate? Crying so hard because it feels so good? Then another message from Jane to Combs. You light my fire. I feel alive with you, baby. You blow my mind. I'm satisfied. Outstanding. And that is how the defense is trying to prove their point to the jurors, that they are saying all of this was consensual. November 2023, Cassie's lawsuit goes viral, and Jane says that she's scrolling through her phone. There is no avoiding it. Not that she's trying to intentionally, but it's really just a matter of time before she sees it. It's on every headline, every Instagram story, everywhere. Jane is reading about Combs' relationship with Cassie. Now, by this point, Jane and Sean Combs have been dating for 3 years. She just remembers that throughout their relationship, randomly, Sean would tell her that Cassie was his greatest love, and sometimes he would get high and write Cassie love letters that I don't think that he would send. It's unclear. Now, prosecutor Comey, previously in the direct, had asked Jane, how did you react to seeing news coverage and social media posts about Cassie's lawsuit? I almost fainted. In fact, I think I did, because there was 3 specific pages that was just a harrowing resemblance of what I was experiencing. But there were a few pages that Jane says it literally was like word for word. She even screenshot it. She said, because I was bewildered, I was in shock. Jane, how did you react to reading the 3 pages that you screenshotted from Cassie's lawsuit? I couldn't sleep. I was reading these pages. It felt like a nightmare. I felt so bad. I just had sympathy for this because I just reacted like, I can't believe I'm reading my own story. Jane says she starts venting to Sean. I'm just shocked. I was just in complete state of shock, just messaging him and just like, what is this? So 3 days after Cassie's lawsuit, she texts Sean Combs, I just woke up because I'm nauseous. I've been crying for 3 days and under stress from reading all of this. I keep having nightmares about forced nights and all the times I felt like I couldn't say no. I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma. It makes me sick how 3 pages, word for word, is exactly my experience and my anguish. Even 2 of my own birthdays, you had me perform so many countless toxic years together, even recently throwing up at a hotel in LA because I was finally sober and disgusted and felt so forced to perform back to back and just wanting to end it all. The sick part is you knew this was coming and you gaslit me and you made me feel crazy about the sex trauma I was developing, knowing you've been there before and this is just the sick thing that you do. I feel manipulated. This was never love between us. It's also clear that this was sexual exploitation that you feigned as love for your sick fetishes. Sean Combs responds to her, call me on this phone, important. So the government actually entered into evidence a recorded phone call that Jane didn't even know she was being recorded in. She didn't even know that somebody else was listening in on this phone call. You just hear Sean Combs apologizing while Jane is clearly emotional on the phone. She's upset. She's saying, just reading it, who's there for me when I close my eyes and I have these fucked up thoughts in my head. Meanwhile, Jane can hear through the phone Sean Combs taking notes on a notepad with a Sharpie. Like, Sharpie has a very distinct sound when you're using it, which is giving, let me just make sure she doesn't file a lawsuit either. But he's also the one asking her repeatedly if she's recording this call, which she's like, I'm not. But Combs is saying things like, you even brought me a videotape so we could look at what we did, talking about the hotel nights. Once again, trying to say, this is consensual while I'm recording you so that you can't file a lawsuit. And there's another part in the recording where Combs cryptically tells her, you ain't got to worry about anything else. Which to her, she took it as like she didn't have to worry about rent or anything else. So from November of 2023 to when the lawsuit drops, that's when the lawsuit drops, to February of 2024, they're on a break. They kind of break up for about 4 months. Jane says that she was so traumatized, she even texted him something that a lot of people think that the jurors are going to really take this into account. She texts him, leave women alone who don't want to do these nights with you. Hire sex workers and stop emotionally harming women who love you. Combs responds in a way that is just very paranoid, texting, are you trying to set me up? This is crazy, fucking crazy. You're recording my calls?
What?
Meanwhile, one of the jurors has their eyebrows raised while taking notes because it's just a very, what is happening right now? And Jane even tells Maureen Comey she has no plans to sue Sean Combs even to this day. A month later, Combs is texting Jane, and this is so unhinged, but he's texting her, are you dating? Be honest. Hello? I want to know. No judgment. It's giving sketch artist, can you make me look less like a koala? I feel like there's a lot more grave things to be concerned about whilst everything's going on. Jane sends him an audio note saying that she's hurt, traumatized. She's clearly not planning on dating anybody anytime soon. She just wants to focus on her life. Meanwhile, Jane does in fact make a monetary demand against Sean Combs. There is a text message that Tenny puts into the cross-examination, and it reads, I feel sexually exploited, mentally damaged, and emotionally drained by you. I want my wasted 3 years of time reimbursed and given back to me in the monetary amount of $100,000 per year and 15 months left of our 2-year agreement of rent, $450K to move on from the resentment of feeling exploited, manipulated, heartbroken, drugged, and all the loss of potential income. Now, Jane clarifies, and she's trying to explain, the only reason I asked him for money is because all day he had been calling me, demanding me to give him a price. He's saying, like, give me a price so that we can get closure since we're breaking up. He even sends her a message, charge me for your resentment. I just need you to get over this. Just tell me what it is. I don't want any loose ends. Just charge me.
Wow. So she brought that up right then too.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Maureen Comey had even clarified previously, like, whose idea was it to talk money? And she's, Sean. That's why she sent that message demanding $450,000, because he's kept asking for a price. She sends that message and he responds, fuck you, don't ever text me again.
Wow.
And Jane is like, you made me lose out on everything. You're a liar. Fuck you. I'm blocking you. Leave me alone, baby girl. You're a liar. Opportunist. Fuck you. I'm calling the police. You're trying to make some shit up. I'm clear. Honestly, a lot of the jurors look disgusted by his text message. I mean, they just, like, a lot of them are scowling, like they're smelling something funky. Jane responds, you are the only opportunist here. You exploited the fuck out of me. You win. 3 years of being used by you. You had 3 years of fun with my body. I said you broke me. Our situation has never ever been fair to me. You asked me what I needed to move on, and now you're upset. I said you were a full-time job. You consumed my life. I got nothing out of this for 3 years but demons and heartbreak. You exploited my love and made me think this was love so I could give you these fetish nights. He responds, leave me alone. I'm blocking this number and I'm calling the police. She says, you used me for your dick parties. He responds, God bless you.
Oh.
And I was too stupid. Leave me alone, con artist. You keep describing yourself. You cornered me into sucking and for you and letting strangers run trains on me. No one has ever treated me like this. You playing around. Do you want me to call the police? I'm asking out of respect for your family.
Wait, this is at what point again? This is
Like during their breakup after Cassie's lawsuit.
Cassie's lawsuit came out. His house hasn't gotten raided yet.
No, so this would be around like January 2024. His house gets raided in like March of 2024.
Right.
The CNN hotel video comes out May of 2024. So we, like the public, we only know Cassie's lawsuit.
Yeah, and he's probably, besides the Cassie lawsuit, he's still chilling. He's living his same life still, right?
Yes, I don't know when he would have been made aware. I
feel like the raid would have just caught him off guard.
I think so, because I don't think the feds would be like, hey, so we're planning on raiding you soon.
We're going after you right now, right?
So he probably feels like he settled that lawsuit. I think it just seems like he's just worried about any other future lawsuits because he paid $20 million. So he's like, I don't want to pay another $20 million is probably his train of thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's just going off on Jane. And Jane
because the fact that he said, I'm going to call the cops, that is crazy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the cops are like, hi, we know who you are.
Yeah.
We're
watching right now.
Yeah, we're listening to this. No, I'm just kidding. They're not. But you get what I'm saying. It's just so bizarre that he's threatening to call the cops.
Yeah.
Now, Jane is sobbing on the stand. A few of the jurors can't, like I said, they can't even look at her. It's just a very tumultuous moment. It's not like the saddest moment in the courtroom, but it's like what is happening? Like Sean Combs' text messages don't even make sense. And she's very emotionally distraught about it. So it's like this very complicated mix of energy. Jane ends up texting him, nobody loves me. You called me and you asked me to charge you. You kept pressuring me all day, even said lawyers would be involved, insisting on this conversation on what I, quote, need to, quote, move on. When I did what you asked, you spew out all your evil on me, then ask who I'm seeing and if I'm dating over and over again. You threaten releasing my tapes and threaten to post them. You jab at all my wounds, and not once have I called you anything out of your name. You are psychotic. Jane is asked how Combs responds, and he said, I'm just gonna show your child's father these tapes. I have nothing to lose. The jurors at this point honestly look pretty melancholic. They just look down. Meanwhile, Combs looks a little bit agitated. He shakes his head no in like a short burst. But this entire relationship breakup ends in February of 2024. So 4 months after Cassie's lawsuit, all because Sean Combs has a dream. Sean Combs allegedly has a dream that he and Jane were on his private jet, and he texts her reporting this dream to her, and she responds, and that starts their relationship all over again. Jane says she responded because, quote, I missed him dearly. he starts using this as like a way to get into her life, because Jane's birthday is in February. So he's saying, I had a dream about you. By the way, your birthday's coming up. What are you doing for your birthday? I want to spend time with you on your birthday. He says, say what you want to do on your birthday. I'm a little traumatized from my past birthdays and what they ultimately led to at the end of the night. I don't know. I'm just being honest. Because remember, the past 2 birthdays, the end of the night would always end up in a hotel night that she did not want. And she would express that she wanted it to just be her and Sean Combs. I just don't want to get my feelings hurt. I feel disrespected for no reason. He responds, shaking my head, didn't mean for the conversation to go there. I was just asking you what you were doing, and you asked me if I wanted to spend your birthday with you, LOL. Don't know the conversation to take this turn. You're confusing. No, you're right. I got flashbacks from the past and they took over for a second. It's okay. I just know me. It's just gonna actually make me feel worse, LOL. Right after you got Homegirl's birthday and then Valentine's Day, I don't even want to mix my thoughts and emotions and like intertwine with seeing all of that. It's always like I get less and you go do the big one. So basically she's saying, even if we don't do a hotel night, like it's just like, it's gonna be my birthday and then your other girlfriend's birthday, allegedly Young Miami, and then it's Valentine's Day, and she's like, I just know you're gonna spend time with her anyway. I'm good. I appreciate you remembering my birthday though. Don't stress it. Well, if you want to change your mind and want to have a wholesome, beautiful birthday celebration, just let me know, love. I love you. I miss you. And then he responds again, I love you. I miss you. It was great seeing you in my dream last night. Stay happy. Love. But he also continues texting her. It's your birthday. You deserve to let me make you feel happy. Like the wording on that is honestly criminal. It's not you deserve to be happy. It's you deserve to let me make you happy. Like you deserve for me to put some effort and make you happy, which is like honestly pass go and go straight to jail. Just like the verbiage on that is insane. They have a phone call and suddenly Jane is on her way to spend time with him for her birthday. She's flying into Miami. Comey is asking her what happened, and Jane says that when she flies in, she just has like butterflies in her heart. Her heart is beating out of her chest. She's seeing Combs for the first time in a long time, and they're in matching clothes. Everything about the way Jane speaks about Sean Combs on the stand. This is a girl in love. And she sounds really young for her age. And I can really only attribute that to maybe being so deeply in love, because like she's very happy that they coincidentally matched in the color of clothing. Like it was a very unique, great color, and she felt like it was fate. And like just the way that she described seeing him again, and he had this wonderful dinner set up, and she says the whole dinner he's explaining to her how much he missed her and wants her to stay and how much he loves her, and then at the end he passes her a pill, an ecstasy. One juror has his hands on his temple and he like briefly shakes his head no. Another one wipes their forehead, because it just feels like we have seen this before and it never ends well.
Yeah.
At this point, I think I was just high and I was like, okay. Jane says she doesn't know why. She just says, at this point, I'm just so used to this being the outcome of whatever we're doing that I just accept it. So Dawn ends up coming over, an entertainer, and they end up having a hotel night again. After that, Jane and Combs are officially back together, and subsequently there are more hotel nights following, except that they weren't really at hotels anymore, more so at his private residence, because in March, the next month, his homes are raided. So now it seems like he's trying to fly under the radar. He's not going to hotels and doing all these crazy things. I mean, the whole internet is watching him. Everybody is. You walk into a hotel, the hotel employees are probably calling TMZ.
Yeah.
Come on now, right? So he's doing these hotel nights at his residences most of the time.
That's the one that they rate like 1,000 baby oil bottles, and
yes,
the photos came out recently as well.
Yes, so it's actually insane how much baby oil and Astroglide he had in his mansion. And the baby oil in one cabinet, they're all lined up like it's a luxury high-end retail store featuring bottles of baby oil. There's baby oil everywhere. In his garage, he has like pallets. I wouldn't even call it, because remember Mark Garagos, he was all like, no, Americans just buy in bulk.
He has a big house, he buys in bulk. I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home. Have you sat in a parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of there with?
And then I was like, I think that he believes it, right? Then I saw the picture of the Astroglide. You can't even buy stuff like that in bulk. It's like a shipping pallet is what it looks like. It's just like pallets of Astroglide.
Like you have to contact the manufacturer, like, hey,
yeah,
I'm opening a store and I need inventory.
Yeah, it's like,
it's crazy.
It's an operation. It doesn't make sense. This is not, I can't even think of anything a normal person would have. I think even that many pallets of coffee, water.
Or like toilet paper.
Even toilet paper would be weird. It's like,
Yeah.
how many people do you have living in the house?
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense.
So you
Yes.
say like his home got raided and he moved the whole hotel night to the home that got raided?
Yeah, to Two-Star Island. in
Two-Star
Miami.
Island.
Yes.
Wow.
Here is a dirty little secret that the insurance industry may want to keep under wraps. Insurance companies profit by holding onto your money for as long as possible. Morgan & Morgan fights hard against these corporations to fight to make sure you get every dollar that you deserve. When in court, the insurance companies, they want jurors to think the at-fault driver is the one paying the verdict amount. Meanwhile, it's usually the insurance companies who are covering the cost. When Morgan & Morgan takes on a case, they are almost always going after the big insurance companies and not the individuals at fault. A recent client in Pennsylvania just received $29 million. The insurer's best offer was $500,000. I mean, there's a reason why Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury firm. Hiring the wrong firm can be disastrous. I mean, hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. With Morgan & Morgan, it's easy to get started and their fee is free unless they win. Just click the link in the description below or visit forthepeople.com/rotten. That's forthepeople.com/rotten, or click the link in the description below. This is a paid advertisement. Taking your business to the next level is a dream lots of us share, but too often kind of just hold ourselves back thinking like, what if I don't have the skills? What if I don't know how to do this? What if I can't do it alone? And that's exactly where we were when I decided to turn those what ifs into, you know what, why not? Let's try it and let's give Shopify a try. My family and I were able to launch our own small business selling limited edition artwork at Grandpa Mango's art studio because honestly, we had Shopify. There would have been no other way. They are an all-in-one commerce platform to start and run and grow a business. Shopify has your back with gorgeous, ready-to-go templates, AI tools built specifically for commerce, and the world's highest converting customizable one-click checkout that also powers 10% of US e-commerce. If you've been sitting on a business idea or wanting to take your side hustle to the next step, stop overthinking it. Shopify makes it so much easier than you think. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/rotten. Go to shopify.com/rotten. Shopify.com/rotten. Now, Combs is in his chair, he's rolling his neck. Jane explains that they never really went out much at all anymore after the home raids, and it's probably best, so they would just stay home. Now, the defense uses this entire thing against Jane, making it seem like, and almost drawing inferences that, isn't it weird that Jane still went back to Combs after Cassie's lawsuit went public? They almost encourage her to talk more about how much better her relationship with Combs got after Cassie's lawsuit. Jane tells Tenny that after Cassie's lawsuit, when Jane and Combs finally reconnect, she felt so much more love from him, that he was positively changing, being more apologetic. He was listening better, spending more time at home. He wasn't on the go all the time, and it really meant a lot to Jane. Tenny asks, and would you say that there was less chaos in the house, around post-Cassie lawsuit? Yes. Less people around, right? Yes. Less people were asking stuff from him, you felt? Yes. Okay, and so you would be able to talk to him, right? Yes. I will say a few in the courtroom later did not have good feelings about this line of questioning. I guess the inference was inferred and people were picking up on it. I don't know if I personally believe it, but the speed of the questions, the way that they were formatted, it made it seem like Jane was almost grateful for Cassie's lawsuit. It made it seem like the world turned on Sean Combs, so she had more time with Sean Combs, and that made her happy. I don't personally think this is true. I think it was the way the questioning happened. Because two things can be true at once. Because she does seem very impacted by Cassie's lawsuit, but now there is the question online, and maybe even in the jurors, of after seeing Cassie's lawsuit, after all the mentions of the freak-offs, why did she go back? I guess that's up for the jury to decide if there's a valid reason. So during that time that when you guys got back together from February of 2024 until September, you were able to reconnect in a way that was meaningful to you? I felt that I could assert myself a little bit more, yes. And do you remember telling the government you were finally getting the princess treatment that you wanted? Yes. They reconnect February of 2024. May of 2024, CNN releases the Intercontinental Hotel assault footage. May 2024, Jane is staying with Combs in his Miami mansion. They're both in Sean's bed and they get a knock on the door from the sons. Jane says, I just remember sleeping and one of his sons knocked on the door and that said that something just happened. And then I was just by myself. I went downstairs and I could see that everybody was speaking amongst each other. I sat down, I went on my phone, and then I saw the video. Jane puts a tissue up to her face to wipe away her tears. I saw Sean assaulting Cassie in a hotel lobby. I was physically just at the table. I was about to eat breakfast. I lost my appetite. Comey asked Jane, what do you remember happening the day that you saw that video of Sean assaulting Cassie? I just remember it was just a very eerie day. I just remember that Sean was huddled with his team and his family just away. And I was primarily just alone during that day and I was just giving everybody space. Jane says that she was by herself for most of the day until maybe that evening, perhaps. She says, I remember kind of like inviting me to this little huddle later on in the evening in the backyard. Who's in the huddle? Just his sons, his writer, and some friends. They're all standing there in this huddle trying to come up with what we now know as his god-awful apology video.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
It took multiple people to come up with that one.
Wait. So that apology video, who was on there one more time? Him, his sons?
And a writer.
That's it.
Yeah.
Huh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know where his PR rep was. Yeah. Jane says the next day, and like, by the way, he has PR reps that have come up, right? I'm not saying that a PR rep should be used in an apology video, but like he has them. So this would be the time, I would imagine, because it was a bad apology video. Jane says, the next day I remember he showed me kind of like the final draft of what he would say that day publicly. She says that she briefly read through the draft and she thought it was nice, like it felt heartfelt. She said specifically Combs had named Cassie in the apology and it felt very genuine. But apparently that's not the final one that he posted, because she would previously tell the government that she was disappointed by his final apology that was ultimately posted because it didn't feel genuine, it didn't name Cassie, it was not the one that she read. Now this is where things get suspicious, okay? Around the time of this conversation that prosecutor Comey is having with Jane, Mark Garagos wants a sidebar. And he's telling the judge, I think we're headed into privileged territory. So privileged territory is any conversation between a client and their attorney. So even if you are subpoenaed to the stand, the prosecutor, the defense, they can't say, what were you talking to your attorney about? That's privileged. You cannot ask. He said this is privileged. So how much information exactly is Jane privy to? He says it's privileged because he was the one that told Sean Combs he cannot put Cassie's name in the apology because you have a potential grand jury witness.
Yeah.
You cannot name her in this video. So he took out Cassie's name.
But he told it to Jane.
It seems like it. And that leaves a huge door to everyone of how much information was Jane actually privy to that she cannot talk about on the stand because it's privileged information. Like, how much is she withholding because of that?
Okay, what does that even mean?
Exactly. We don't know how much more information that she cannot talk about, what experiences she cannot share. Like, we don't know. It's just weird. I think this just adds to the weirdness of the fact that Sean Combs is paying for her attorney. She's met with his attorneys up until April. Like, I'm sure lots of privileged conversations have been taking place.
Yeah. So when Mark brought that up to the judge, right?
Yes.
What did it come out of it? Do they continue this conversation? Did they stop it?
The judge was like, good point. Comey was like, I wasn't even really aware, but like, I'm not going to ask further questions about it anyway. So I'm just going to move on to the next topic. So then they just kind of breezed past it. But everyone who read that sidebar, like even the next day, the press pews are like, because that's weird.
Yeah.
It's just opening this big door of like, what else? We don't know. We'll never know. As for why she stayed with Combs, Jane explains to the jurors that Combs convinced her that Cassie was the one that was violent after this hotel footage. He called her a, quote, hitter, and that this was the one and only time that he had been physically violent with her. Now, a lot of people, I have seen a lot of people having a hard time believing that part. I think it's weird because, like, how do we even know what anyone's thinking? But I've heard people saying it doesn't make sense that anyone could fall for a lie like that because the assault footage was so brutal. It's hard to believe this was someone's first time assaulting Cassie. Like, it's hard to believe that this was Sean Combs' first time assaulting Cassie.
Yeah, because, I mean, for us, we've seen photos of Cassie from decades ago, right?
Yes. So Jane hasn't.
They're saying, how would Jane even believe that?
Yes, but I just feel like everything Jane has said thus far, I feel like she really trusts him. I don't know how else to put it. It's obviously a very toxic dynamic. I would personally think it's a very abusive dynamic, but that's up to the jurors to decide by the letter of the law if it's trafficking by coercion. But it's just, I could see her believing it. I could totally see her believing it. I don't know why people are questioning her. Jane believes him until January 18th of 2024. Now, Sean goes over to Jane's house. He had just gotten back from this family trip to Utah with his kids, which was vlogged, by the way. Like, that vlog is up on the internet. It was so fascinating to watch. That's the vlog that I was showing you.
One more time, who vlogged that?
Quincy.
Oh, family vacation!
Oh, my goodness.
Now, Jane did not believe that there would be any entertainers coming that night to Jane's house that Sean is coming. It's just them reconnecting because he just got back from this family trip. So she puts on this long brown dress, pours champagne for them, opens up the back patio. They're having a good time. And then Jane has this sneaking suspicion that Combs had brought a girl out to the Utah trip. She starts asking him if that girl was there. And Jane says, I was making an assumption that he was with another woman and it just really angered me. Like, I think at this point in our relationship, I just was bottling up a lot of resentment and anger towards him. The woman that Jane believes is on the family trip in Utah is someone that is 25 years younger than Sean, which rubs her the wrong way, and she calls him a pedophile. Now, this woman is of age, but she's just calling him a pedophile. She says, I just remember calling him a pedophile. I said, if a girl can't buy her own drinks, what makes you attracted to her? Jane says he bent over like he was about to tie a shoe, and she banged his head on the kitchen counter. Pushed his head on the kitchen counter. Not hard enough that she said that she didn't see injuries later that night, but she did give it a good push. She gets up and she starts throwing candles everywhere. I started taking all the candles and started throwing it. I started taking all the glass and I started throwing it. She said she was very angry with Sean Combs. She says, it was a built-up mix of everything that I was angry and hated him for it in the moment. She's throwing the candles, screaming, I hate you. She doesn't recall any glass hitting him, but she does recall wax on him, on his clothing. What did Sean say in response as you were throwing things at him? Maureen Comey is asking. I can't recall, but I think he was probably cursing and calling me crazy. Jane then runs into the master bedroom and locks herself in there. I just remember he was just calling me f***ing crazy and that I put my hands on him and I just wanted to close the door behind me and I was just like, just leave, just leave, just leave. What happened after you locked the master bedroom door? He kicked it open. Who kicked it open? Sean. Where did you go after Sean kicked open your locked master bedroom door? I went into the master bathroom. She says that she runs into the bathroom, he kicks in that door, she runs into the closet, he kicks down that door, she runs out the closet and starts running out of the house. When you say kicked it down, do you mean literally off the hinges or just open? Literally off the hinges.
Whoa.
The jurors are like furiously taking down notes. Sean kicked me from the back of the thigh and then I fell down on my butt and then he picked me up in a chokehold and choked me. He like lifted me up and I couldn't breathe. I was on my tippy toes. I remember he came up behind me and just squeezed my neck in between his arms, and I just remember just grabbing his arm, and I couldn't even touch my neck. It was so tight, and I was on my tippy toes, and I thought that I was gonna pass out. I just squirmed out of it, and he was, I was just fighting his grip on my neck. I was just trying to get out of his grip. She makes it out the front door, runs barefoot into a bush in the neighborhood, and just hides there for what she felt was 2 hours. When she thinks she's finally in the clear, she starts walking back to her house. Combs is on the street walking towards her. I was scared, but I was just quiet. I just kept walking back to the house because I didn't want to wake the neighbors up and cause a scene. She hides in the guest bedroom. He kicks that door in too, and once he gets in, all she remembers is, quote, "I just remember there was just more glass throwing, candle throwing." This whole part of the testimony, Combs is just staring at the desk like someone etched into the wood a secret message, like perhaps the nuclear codes. Like he's looking at this desk like something interesting is happening on it. Jane explains that they end up outside the patio, and Jane punches Combs near the temple and forehead. He punches her back twice on the forehead. She makes a run for it deeper into the backyard, which I'm assuming is fenced, so she doesn't really have many options right now. She curls up into a ball and just tries her best to cover her head. Combs comes after her and, quote, "He started punching my head, he started kicking me, he started saying all kinds of things and just kept punching. He's screaming at her, quote, that I was trying to take him away from his kids and his family." After he's done kicking her, Jane says he grabs her by the arm and hair and just starts dragging her back into the house. Tenny Garrigos looks over, eyes wide, at Sean Combs, because she's sitting at the defense table. This is during the direct testimony. And she looks at Sean Combs, and we're just like, ma'am, he's not going to do anything. He can't even nod at the jury. The judge is going to get mad at him. Then she turns to Mark Garagos, like wide-eyed, like, and he's not doing anything either. And I'm just curious, like, what was so shocking in this line of questioning? So it's interesting, like, that she had that big of a reaction, but she didn't object. But she would have likely objected, but she didn't. So I don't know. What is it, the answer? I don't know. Now, regardless, Jane goes on to explain that he drags her back into the house, calling her fucking crazy. And she's just begging him to leave now, and she hates him. And that is when, back inside the house, Jane says that she grabs Sean's phone and starts calling the girl that she assumes was on the family trip. I just remember I asked her if she was on the trip, and she started saying really insulting things back. Later, she says she asked that woman to woman, did you go to the Grand Canyon with him? The woman allegedly responds, girl, what are you worried about right now? You're worried about the wrong things. Woman to woman, you should not be panicking. She later states that she was calling that girl mean names, the other girl was calling her a bitch, and perhaps Jane mentioned some of the girl's previous relationships. And the girl tells Sean on speakerphone about Jane, let her mind wander, she needs to fix her life for real. In the direct, Comey asks Jane, what happened as you spoke with this woman on the phone? Sean was holding me down and making me listen to her insults. I told her to shut up and that he was beating my ass right now. What did Sean do after you said, quote, he's beating my ass right now? He hung up. Combs glances at the jurors and does a small sigh, like he lets his shoulders fall, and then looks back at his table. Jane says after all of this, she goes into the shower to try and wash up, cool off, and that's when in the mirror she sees these giant golf ball sized welts on her forehead and a black eye that's forming. Combs follows her in the shower. He's still wearing his pants and he's just, quote, he started slapping me, smacking me really hard in my face. I just remember being so exhausted, and I just remember sitting there in the towel and I was so tired. And then Sean said, put some ice on it and put an outfit on. Lingerie and heels. So she does. What happened after you iced your welts and put a lingerie outfit and heels on? I remember in the living room, and I remember he's using my phone to play explicit videos. Then he starts texting one of the entertainers on her phone, and he tells her, he said, because we're not gonna end the night like this. He said, because we're not gonna end the night like this. Like, this is not how it's gonna end. Jane goes to put makeup on to cover her injuries, and she put her hair to the side so you couldn't see the bruising or the welts too much, because that's what Combs told her to do. He said, just put some makeup on, put your hair to the side, you'll be fine. I remember him opening his hand with a pill in it, and he said, take this fucking pill, take this fucking pill. You're not gonna ruin my fucking night. You better go out there. You're not gonna ruin my fucking night. Get out there. S his D, F him, I don't care. You're just not gonna ruin my fucking night. So the entertainer had come over to Jane's house, and he's telling her to take this pill. Jane was trying to explain that she doesn't want to, and according to Jane, Sean Combs just straight up looks at her and says, is this coercion? They get back into the bedroom and Jane starts trying to be polite to the entertainer who is now there, in which Jane says that she had to perform oral activities for, quote, it just felt like forever. And Combs is just watching. He's not self-pleasuring, he's just watching. Jane can barely testify through this whole story in between her sobs. Her hair is just like fully covering her face. It's almost like she's trying to shield herself away from Sean Combs. I just felt sick. I just felt like I wasn't even in my own body. I just felt disgusted. I just felt terrible. Afterwards, Sean Combs gets picked up by a security and just leaves. What did you do after Sean left? I remember I just laid down and I just started crying and crying. I just cried until I fell asleep. The defense will later use this entire testimony, this incident, and at least in my opinion, it seems like they try to make it appear that Jane Doe, unprompted, unprovoked, physically assaulted Sean Combs, trying to get him to physically assault her back, almost like a setup. Like they infer that after seeing Cassie's lawsuit, it's almost like she wanted similar things after the hotel video came out because she could prove DV. They say the timing is strange. They say that there had never been any elements of DV in their relationship prior to this moment, which it's kind of giving victim blaming, is it not? It's giving she started it. So in a sidebar, that's what Maureen Comey's saying, like, Your Honor, they're literally victim blaming. And the defense team says, we are not victim blaming. I just want to say that out loud. We wouldn't victim blame, and we are not victim blaming. She is writing a letter on behalf of Sean Combs to get him into a domestic violence program. So he was trying to get in, they wouldn't let him into this program, so she was going to write a letter on his behalf. And it's significant that when she slams his head on the counter and beats him up, I'm not saying that means he has to fight back, but that the vulnerability and all of the things that would lead up to that moment are relevant. And the judge asks, why is this relevant? Because Comey has already argued that this is straight up victim blaming. She says, Your Honor, the only relevance I'm hearing is to suggest that Jane should have known better when she was poking a violent man, and when she started the fight, she was putting herself at risk of being assaulted. That is victim blaming. That is suggesting that she was asking for it. That is suggesting she brought this violence upon herself and somehow it is justified, which finds no basis in the law whatsoever. The defense argues, why are you then now fighting with him? It's an unprovoked fight. For the first time ever, she starts an unprovoked fight. They've never been physical, and she chooses to be physical with him on the heels of trying to get him into a domestic violence program. I don't know why she did that, but she did it. I mean, there's no dispute it happened. The judge looks at them, the defense team, and just says, well, that is victim blaming. That is literally, that's like if you had a dictionary that had a term victim blaming, like that would be the explanation that you'd given. So it can't be that. It has to be something else.
Wait, the judge called them out?
Yes.
Saying you guys are literally victim blaming right now.
Well, okay, so he called them out in saying what you're trying to use in your line of questioning is victim blaming.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes. Now, he's vulnerable. I'm not victim blaming, and I wouldn't victim blame. This is Mark Garagos. And of course, the judge is saying, I'm not saying you. I'm saying that line of questioning would only have relevance to that. Basically, again, saying your line of questioning is victim blaming, by definition almost. The judge sustains the objection, and Tenny asks in the cross-examination about this violent altercation. Okay, and then do you remember Mr. Combs saying to you, we've never fought like this before, and now the lawsuit comes out, and now you're attacking me? I heard him say that, yes. Now you want to attack me? Basically, again, trying to insinuate that Jane is attacking Combs so that she too can have evidence of DV and potentially file a lawsuit. And that all the words that she was using to try to instigate him were to instigate him into violence. Tenny says, you were calling him a pedophile the whole night in the shower? Yes. Okay, and you were saying that he's a son of a bitch. I think I was just calling him a bitch. Okay, do you remember calling him a piece of shit? Probably. Do you remember calling him a fraud? Yes. The defense then asks a series of wild questions about physical strength. Okay, do you remember Ms. Comey asked you about your strength in comparison to Mr. Combs? Yes. You're a very active woman, would you say that? Yes. You go to the gym every day? Yes. You lift heavy weights, right? Yes. You care very much about the strength that you have, right? Yes. And about taking care of yourself and your body, right? Yes. And you lift very heavy weights, right? Yes. And that's because you want to be a strong woman, right? Yes. Okay, and you would consider yourself strong? Yes, but a woman's power does not override a man's. Tenny just repeats the answer. A woman's power does not override a man's. Then she moves on to her next line of questioning. But I guess the defense would argue, could she really be that much in fear of Combs if she sees him just a few days after this violent attack on her? Jane says that she just missed him so badly. She goes to see him with a bruised eye and welts on her forehead. But the next month, July 2024, things get extra rough between the two. Jane says that she learns from a media outlet that Combs took another girl to Wyoming. And she says, I was absolutely furious because we had just ended that kind of night, and amidst all sorts of the controversy and everything, he was still able to plan another beautiful vacation for someone else he was dating. She starts texting him that she wants to break up, blocks him and his entire team so that he can't reach out to her anymore. And they take about a 2 to 3 week break. They end up getting back together, and Jane plans on flying out to New York City in September of 2024 to see Sean Combs, but he is ultimately arrested. Now, to prove that this is sex trafficking, the government has to be able to demonstrate that Combs used fraud, force, or coercion. I mean, it's clear the way that they're outlining it. There's elements of physical violence, drug distribution, and also coercion can mean emotional support. To promise or try to threaten to withdraw emotional support can be a form of coercion, even if we personally, like as individuals, you might think, well, that wouldn't be a way to coerce me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if you think that that wouldn't work on you, right? It's just a matter of how the law is written. And even the drugs, it's very important because if that's used to keep people obedient and compliant during hotel nights, that's a huge element. There's the financial control over the victims, potential blackmail to ensure continued obedience, silence the victims. It seems like the government is making a lot of strong points when it comes to the letter of the law. Now, Jane testifies that she had witnessed Combs' drug dealers coming to the hotel night to sell drugs. And then when they would run out, they would deliver the drugs. But more alarmingly, she also states that she carried drugs for Combs before. In 2022, from LA to Miami, across state lines. Jane says that before she was going to fly out to meet with him, she was asked to pick up a package. Jane talks to KK, the chief of staff, and she even asks KK, is this safe? Is this okay? And KK tells her, it's fine. I do it all the time. Just put it in your checked luggage. And that's what she does. There's also heavy discussions during her direct testimony where Jane mentions that certain entertainers would be flown across state lines or be flown from city to city, or even perhaps Turks and Caicos for those hotel nights, as well as paid in cash. One text message shows Jane telling an entertainer, I'm gonna ask what the status of the cash is right now, hit you in a few. Jane testifies that she's asking Combs about the status of the cash. It feels like the government is just going down and like taking off a bunch of the boxes needed for the trafficking conviction, but it's still up to the jurors, and the defense argues it's not sex trafficking. The defense argues it was consensual adult activities. Tenny Garrigos is asking Jane, and you chose to participate in that lifestyle for many years, right? I would say that my choices were made under a lot of emotional pressure due to my relationship, aka coercion. But Tenny is asking Jane, why though? Why did you continue to participate in such a lifestyle if you don't like it? Tenny says, is it because, quote, because you wanted to be a really good girlfriend and partner? You use that word partner over and over again. Yes. On direct, you wanted to be a very good partner for him, right? Yes. And lover for him? I did. So this is a debate. There's a pretty heated back and forth on whether or not Jane repeatedly referring to Sean Combs as lover or partner is helping or hurting the defense. Some argue it helps because she sounds like she still has a fond association with him. It sounds like a consensual relationship. Others are saying it harms because it's so clear the power that he mentally held over her, even to this day. The defense is now trying to frame the hotel nights as a secret that Combs shared with Jane about his vulnerabilities of, well, they don't say it, but it's like said, being a cuck. And Jane wanted to because it made her feel special. And you tried, tell me if this is right, to be very sexy for him in those rooms because this is something he liked, right? I don't think I tried. I think I did, and I was. You were very sexy to him, right? Yes. Because you're a beautiful woman, right? Thank you. Combs is like nodding intensely at this point. Father Arun looks in his direction and he just like freezes mid-nod.
No
Frozen.
way. Really?
Yes. Jane even tells Tenny that a big part of why she wanted to move into a large home in LA that cost $10,000 a month, that we are not allowed to forget, was because they could shift the hotel nights from hotels to the privacy of her home. By this point, the hotel nights have been going on for 2 years, but she chose a house this big because she wanted it to be to Combs' taste level, saying, "I would say that Mr. Combs had really nice properties that were always decorated well and very well manicured. I wanted to pick a home that was a home away from home, that he would visit me and he would still feel like he was at home." Combs is again nodding at this part because he's hoping the jurors are liking the defense arguments on this. The defense shows messages where Combs references Jane as his crack pipe, as if he's addicted to her. Tenny clarifies and Jane responds, "Yeah, to my sex." To which Jane texts Combs, "Baby, you make me laugh. LOL, the addiction is real. I really had to get to this point to stop, honestly. Fuck or die trying, no apologies. Nothing's going to stop us or me." One juror is smirking again, and it's just a lot. It's a lot of smirking. You mentioned a few times on direct examination that there were times that he felt bored, or you thought he felt bored, and you would mention an entertainer coming, right? In that instance, because you wanted him to be excited and feel fulfilled, right? Yes. Do you remember telling the government that you accepted the dynamic at that time because you just wanted any amount of time with him? I accepted the dynamic as far as... That's a little fuzzy for me. I guess I kind of knew what I was seeing, this was becoming, and I was already hooked onto the love, and I just kind of was going with it. And do you remember telling the government in one of your meetings with them that you felt that you couldn't say no because you wanted to prove yourself and make him happy and to be the one that he desired? Because I loved him very much and I liked making him happy and I liked to make him happy and satisfy him? Even when it came to filming of the hotel nights, Jane tells Tenny she was okay with it being filmed because he told her it was just for them. But Tenny brings up a little nickname that they had. Do you remember what the nickname that you, Paul, one of the entertainers, and Mr. Combs had for each other? The trifecta? Jane says that she was Kobe Bryant, Paul was Shaq, and Combs was Michael Jordan. Why are you Kobe? Because I'm the best. Okay, and why is Mr. Combs Jordan? Because he's the best. So this whole thing goes viral on TikTok with people trying to use this as an argument of why Jane wanted the hotel nights as much as Combs did. I will say it was kind of an awkward moment in the courtroom in the sense that I don't think the jurors took it very well, I guess the comparisons. Because to call them athletes and to have these hotel nights that have been testified to be long bouts of activity, it just... I don't know, I guess they didn't like it. I mean, the whole point of the defense, what they're trying to achieve, and you tell me if you think they achieved it for the jurors, is to show that Jane wanted the hotel nights. And these types of nicknames, I guess to them, helps their side. Whether that meant she liked the hotel night itself or she liked the treatment Combs gave her after the hotel night, I don't know. That's up to the jurors to decide. But they're also trying to argue that she liked it so much that she would facilitate the hotel nights. She would argue that Jane would even set up the hotel nights and grab things to her liking. Tenny says, what would you get? Outfits? I'd get stripper shoes. I'd get lube. I would get male erection pills or liquids. I would get shorts. I would get maybe whips. So what are the shorts for? The shorts are for Sean and Paul. Okay, and is that something you like them to wear? Given my circumstances, I was really turned off whenever these men would come in with their regular shorts, and so I started incorporating shorts for them as well for these nights just so I could find them attractive. And Mr. Combs would wear matching shorts with the entertainers? Yes. Now, Combs has his hand on his chin and he's just like shaking his head no. Like, I can't tell if this is, how could you be so disgusting and sexual, or like, this is wrong, that's not why you didn't get the shorts. I don't know. Honestly, it seems more like the first one. That makes a little more sense because purity culture is like specifically only for women apparently. But Tenny pushes on. Tenny confronts Jane with more text messages. She's referencing a text Jane sends Combs. The next page you say, you did say you wanted to go apeshit, LOL, right? Jane looks straight at Tenny. Yes, I loved pleasing my partner. You loved pleasing him, right? I do. Someone in the gallery does a little snort. Again, I'm not sure if it's related or not. Meanwhile, I think a juror is like fully falling asleep. I don't know if they are, but like they kept their eyes downcast and it's hard. I will say it's really hard to tell if a juror is falling asleep or taking notes because when their eyes are down, like you don't see where a lot of their notepads are. So a lot of the times they will just be taking notes. But like this one particular moment, like when they would open their eyes, it just looked kind of like nappy eyes. Like, you know, when you just wake up from a nap and they're kind of glazed over. I can't tell. And there's so much going on in this cross-examination. For example, when all of this blows up, When Sean Combs is about to get arrested, there are other things that the public never knew about. For example, Jane gets a call from one of the entertainers, and he tells her, I am about to put our video on the dark web. And she starts freaking out, like, what do you mean? And he explains to her, one time, Sean Combs had taken his phone, thinking it was either Jane's or Sean Combs's phone. But he had taken the entertainer's phone and filmed 30 minutes of a hotel night. And this man is now threatening to put it on the dark web, specifically the dark web, that's what he's saying, unless he is paid $10,000. Jane freaks out, tells Sean Combs, I think the attorneys find out about it, and then eventually she stops responding to him because she's like, this is blackmail. This is literally like extortion. You can't legally even ask for money like this. So she's freaking out, and then that man calls back, and they find out that this video, this 30-minute video, was sold to a major news organization, a media company. But for whatever reason, never gets published.
Yeah, they probably know how bad this could be.
But the public finds out during this testimony.
Whoa.
Like, we didn't even know this was happening. But it's interesting, and so people are like, what media organization? Like, that's what we want to know.
Yeah.
Tenny goes on to ask about another time that Jane had organized for 2 men to meet with them for a hotel night. You suggested 2 men coming to the room, right? Unfortunately, yes. Something that you organized, right? Under my circumstances, it was something I suggested and something I organized, yes. Tenny brings up a text message that Jane had sent to Combs previous to all of this, where she's very upset that Combs had taken young Miami on a birthday trip. And she says, and your circumstances were that he was with Carisha for her birthday, and you told him, quote, get your ass back to Miami, otherwise you don't get a hotel night, right? My circumstances were my options in this relationship was that I had to adjust, which was if I see him, there's a request for a hotel night, so I'm just adapting to my circumstances. I'm adapting to my environment. So there are moments where I suggest and organize things under the pressure of my lover. Yes. And again, there's another smirk happening. This is a rare occasion that I pulled the hotel card. Yes. Because it would mean that you would break up. No, because it would mean that I'm sitting here across from somebody with this unspoken pressure, and this is my option and my dynamic of my relationship. So either I accept it, or I would be faced with some sort of agitation or another option where it still leads me to a hotel night. She says, I really didn't feel like I could say no. And so a huge part of this trial has been like, how much do undertones play a role in coercion? And I think it's so true because I think a lot of people think that coercion means, hey, if you don't do ABC, I'm going to do DEF. But a lot of the times it's like, it's said, it's implied, but it's not said.
Yeah.
But the defense is trying to argue, but it's not said, is it?
Yeah.
And she's trying to say, but it's implied.
Yes.
Because humans don't say everything.
Yes.
Like, we imply every sentence is an implication of something.
Yes.
So it's just been like this back and forth debate. And this, like, while we're sitting in the pews, it just made so many of us realize we still, like, society is so far gone. Like, we're still on this debate. Of like, well, he didn't say gun to your head, if you don't do this, I'm not going to pay your rent, did he? Like, it's like, okay. But like, I mean, look at some of the text. Like, do you think he sounds like a happy camper right now? It's crazy. There's other parts where Tenny brings up how they were going to go to like the Nobu Hotel, or they were staying in the Nobu Hotel. They were going to go to the Nobu sushi restaurant to eat dinner. And Jane had asked Sean Combs, can we please go somewhere else? She was saying, like, the insinuation felt like we're just going to stay inside this hotel and it's going to lead to a hotel night. Like, she just wanted to leave the hotel building, go on a proper date, not just like dinner downstairs, go back up to the hotel room. Tenny's like, okay, then you said that when he asked you at Nobu whether there would be entertainment, you also basically reacted like nothing, right? I was just going along with my lover was proposing to me, yes. You accepted it. You said, right? I just complied with it. And you felt that these hotel nights really put him at peace, right? Yes. And that's why you did them, right? Yes. Because you felt that they brought him peace, right? Yes. And that you being there with him helped him bring that peace, right? Yes.
Okay.
And the jurors also hear another audio clip of Jane talking to Combs, telling him, I take accountability for participating in these nights with you. I should have known I was never going to get a trip after the first year. I just feel stupid about myself. So the defense is trying to say, so you just wanted to go on vacations, right? Basically.
What?
Yeah, like they were using some very interesting arguments at certain points. Jane tells the defense that she tried to get these hotel nights to stop by giving Sean hints that she didn't want to do this anymore, telling him that her stomach hurt, that she was hungry, or she would sigh. And Tenny asks her, and your excuse would be, I'm hungry, right? Yes. And when you asked for food, he would get you food, right? He knows what I meant by that. He knows, you asked for food, correct? Yes. And you got food, right? Yes. Which it just looks like Combs is clenching his jaw so hard not to smile. Like, that's what it looked like. Because you don't really see him clench his jaw like that. Usually his mouth is slightly agape. It's argued by the defense that Jane even purchased a mobile TV for him, like one of those LG TVs that you can roll around the house. She got him that for his birthday so that they could have movie nights together for his birthday, aka nights where they would watch the hotel night footage that they filmed. But Jane states that she only did that because she thought if they have a movie night, then they don't have to have an actual hotel night, and this would be the activity. During her direct, she testified she did, in fact, surprise Combs with a hotel night or two because that was what was expected of her, which is, again, similar to Cassie's testimony. Comey is asking her, and you said you could read between the lines. What do you mean by that? I mean, he didn't have to tell me directly, specifically tell me to do things. If he said things like, I can't wait to see what you have planned for me, or something along those lines, I just knew what task was being asked of me. Meanwhile, Combs is just sitting with his entire cheek in his palm like a pouty child, like opposite energy of cross-examinations. But during the cross, Tenny brings up that Jane even suggested to Combs that for a Valentine's Day celebration, they would have two men in the room at the same time. Tenny asks her, was Mr. Combs excited when he heard about that? Yeah, he was. And you proposed this idea, just a few days earlier, you said that you did not enjoy the hotel night that you had on your birthday, right? Yes. Which a few of the jurors look like, I guess they turn away from Jane at this point. On one occasion, while high on drugs, Jane promises Combs an all-star party. She describes it as an all-star party, and this fantasy talk just coming out of my mouth. I was just saying that I would invite the top 3 or 4 guys and bring them all in one night. Comey asks her, why did you say that? Because I was high, I was with my lover, I wanted to play into what he likes to hear, I like making him feel excited. I was just riling him up, and it made him smile. However, there are text messages that show Combs being like, hey, when's this all-star night happening? And she's trying to explain to him, I can't do it. I need to wrap my head around it. It's just too much. She sends him a picture of pink toilet paper to show him that she's about to start her period. And Comey asks her, why did you send Sean a picture of the beginning of your period? Because I needed to prove to him that my hesitation was real and I needed to be excused for the night and just hope that he's not mad at me. Which is already in itself so crazy. I feel like if I sent my partner a picture like that, the bigger problem in question would be, why do I feel obligated to prove to him that I'm menstruating? That's not normal human behavior, or well, it shouldn't be. But clearly she feels the need to send that. Mm-hmm. And Combs clearly doesn't believe her anyway, because he texts back, this whole shit is too weird for me and it doesn't feel true. You have had your period so many times before.
What?
He's also because she's explaining her body's been taking a toll, and he says, don't do drugs, just drink champagne then. He continues, I'm too stressed to get pressed for money this week. For today, now, you acting weird as fuck. I've tried to talk to you about that all day. It's too weird for me to accept. Now I'm in my head and I'm mad as fuck. I've had another successful week and this is whack. Don't stress me about money ever f***ing again. You're playing with me. I don't believe this fake ass shit. You're getting your hair done. You're working out. Now you're tired and getting your hair done for no reason. I don't believe you and you're playing with me. I'm gonna fall back. Love, you not being completely honest with me, and that's a no-no. Deal breaker for me. It's not adding up. You ain't even suggest a movie night or even coming to see me. Weird. I'm done.
He is so pressed right now, saying some crazy shit because she basically saying, hey, I couldn't do a hotel night because I'm on my period.
And my body is falling apart.
And he's like, how could you possibly think to say no to me for those reasons? Those are absolute lies.
Yeah, and he's getting, honestly, Like, okay, this is what I'm saying of like, I don't know why in the big grown 2025, this is like aggressive. It's basically saying you can't say no without saying you can't say no.
Yeah, he's like losing it.
Which, side note, stressing her about money, again, that $10,000 a month that he's paying in rent. And I do think that some people thought that he's only paying $10,000 in rent and more of her other things. It's really only like $10,000 a month and then sporadically gifts and sporadically other money that she would ask for. And sometimes he would give it, sometimes not. Continuing on, he just starts bombarding her with angry messages like, whack ass, so mad you played me, you in games, I had a rough week, you for real, leave me the alone. To which Jane feels the need to send him a picture of her dirty tampon. She writes, I wasn't playing games, I said I was still making it happen last night. You asked me what was wrong, I admitted I finally was not feeling good and said I just got my period. I politely just asked if I could sit this one out. Jane responds saying, all because I ended up not feeling good and asking if I can postpone. You have flaked and disappeared so many countless times on me. I've nonstop given you these nights for 2.5 years, and this is the first time I just hit a wall and was honest in asking for space to go feel better. Now I'm waking up to more f me. I'm not a liar, a cheater, user, or a sex robot. I'm just as hurt and upset, and we need to have a serious talk about everything. He just ignores her, and then a few days later, he just says, let's move on and stay in the light. Jane says this was the usual routine. If she told him anything about her body being tired, she needed to rest, he would yell at her. One time he yelled at her and told her to just fucking take her all. Comey is playing the jurors an audio message that Combs had left Jane, and in it he says,
hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know, you think you silent treating me, and you think I'm gonna be, nah, you'll have a rude awakening. You'll just have silence. And ain't nobody threatening you, and I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I ain't got no time for no games. Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you could be mad, I could have a spat, we could have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really, that's all it is. Cause you got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice. So either you go in the direction of like moving on and like that, or you like just like have me just keep moving. Ain't no threat. I'm just being clear. I can't do this with you every time you get upset.
So you got to be on your job. Jane says, I understood that he had certain expectations of me and I had to fulfill them. Basically, her job is a hotel night. His job is to pay rent. He's like holding that. He just texts her, oh yeah, and happy Sunday, love. Listen, sure, innocent until proven guilty, but like this man is so vindictive and petty and rude. Like legally, it's up to the jury to decide, but morally, again, straight to jail. Like to send that audio message and then to say, oh yeah, happy Sunday is like so vile. In another text message thread, Jane is explaining how she says that she just hates that she's being used for hotel nights while other women get quality time. And he just ignores her and he keeps asking her, what girl, what time you free tomorrow? I need you to don't say no to me. Like, don't say no. I need you to don't say no to me, please. The jurors did not seem to like this text message. Like one of them looked genuinely disgusted by this message, but I don't know. Maybe they smelt a fart. I don't know, but they just look like that very like nasty scowl, like when you smell something really stinky, that kind of look. So again, I don't know what it was towards, but it just didn't seem good. Combs texts again, I really need you. I'm asking you not to do this. I'm serious, please, for real. This is a waste of time. Jane responds, you just said you're gonna call someone else. Call them. I said I'm not an animal. I'm not a star. Our experiences are desensitizing for me. I don't want to be effed and mistreated. I don't feel like performing loveless, cold, intimate relations. My spirit and my soul are tired. I need a break mentally and spiritually. He responds, you're wrong. I don't even know what that means. She also states that 3 years of hotel nights put her in a constant state of brain fog, especially because of the drug usage, so she was unable to really focus or even work on her business. So there's clearly copious amounts of times where Jane expresses to Combs throughout the years that she does not enjoy these hotel nights. And the defense, they don't really want to focus too much on that. They just want to focus on the hotel nights happened. Sometimes she planned them, sometimes she organized them, and also she was receiving money. The defense says you were just asked by Ms. Comey during the direct whether you would give up all the things Mr. Combs gave you if you didn't have to do any of this, right? Right. You were not willing to give up your home though, right? There's a very long pause where she says, that's where me and my child live. That's a very hard question to answer. Combs is like doing the most. He's nodding his head. Okay, you receive, I think you testified, almost $5,000 a month in child support, right? Yes. Okay, and your child's father is a very, very wealthy individual at the top of the entertainment industry, right? Yes. Okay, and how much do you make per month now from OnlyFans? It varies. Do you make over $10,000 a month? Yes. Okay, and so you have the financial ability to pay for this home yourself, right? I'm catching up on 3 years of debt. Okay, how much is the most you've made per month on OnlyFans? $50,000. And this 3 years of debt that you're referencing, during those 3 years, Mr. Combs has sent you wires of over $150,000, right? Is that a healthy 3 years?
Oh, so they're saying that Combs gave her $150K for the last 3 years?
Yes.
Is that like the total amount?
I don't know I don't think that's including the rent because the wires, I think
so that's like on top of the rent.
Maybe.
More, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, but also he was like a billionaire at one point.
It doesn't sound like an impressive number for 3 years. You're talking about 50 grand a year for,
Which again is a lot of money, but then you have to compare it to how much money he makes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like personally when I hear that, I'm more so like, okay, like what point are we making here?
And so Jane is saying, is that a healthy 3 years? I'm asking you a question as to whether Mr. Combs has sent you over $150,000 during your 3 years with him. Yes. Did you want more than that? Does he think I'm worth more than that? I'm asking if you wanted more than that. No. At this point, Combs is clenching his jaw for whatever reason, and again, it looks like he's suppressing a smile. Tenny tries to show the jurors that Jane liked a lot of things that were just in a very specific tax bracket, such as Jane not wanting to go to Nobu, again, that high-end sushi restaurant, because remember, she didn't want to just go downstairs for dinner, but Jane is saying, again, I just didn't want to go downstairs in the same hotel for dinner. And Tenny's asking her, is that an example of an undertone or subtle cue that you would send to him? That is a subtle cue to my lover and my partner, yes. But what you say is, maybe would you want to try something different? I've heard good things about Poppy Steak and Carbone, right? And Poppy Steak is a very nice restaurant in Miami, right? I wouldn't know. Tenny's arms are crossed and it just feels like things are getting tense again. Are you sure Poppy Steak is a very nice restaurant in Miami, right? So I've heard. It's owned by a luxury restaurateur, right? I'm sure it is. Because you've heard of it, right? I've heard of it, yes. And Carbone is another international Italian restaurant, right? I guess so. You knew of Carbone, right? I just wanted to recommend fine dining so that I could be romanced properly on my birthday. But again, they just kind of make it seem like she's just obsessed with, it's just weird. Yeah, it's just all of it's weird. The defense argues that Sean Combs did not threaten to take away her house every time they broke up. They also argue that Jane absolutely did not need to go into debt trying to furnish her home or not work to put herself in a position where she financially depended on this man. And they also mention multiple times that Jane was 35 years old when she met Combs. So a lot of people on the internet believe this is a big factor in the sense that Cassie was 18, she was likely groomed, and she was financially locked in. So her work and Sean Combs were directly impacted, whereas Jane was not signed to like a 10-album record deal. But Jane argues because of all of this emotional baggage of the hotel nights and how it opened Pandora's box, it was nearly impossible for her to concentrate on work. It just wouldn't work. She says, in that time, I lost so many work opportunities just following, and she's texting this to Combs, like following you around, being high, and coerced into this dark and humiliating lifestyle. Meanwhile, my peers and my colleagues excelled in both meaningful personal relationships and financial stabilities. Whereas in 3 years, I turned down work opportunities and healthy relationships to cater to all of your exhausting fetishes and needs. Comey even reiterates, asking her in the direct, how did you end up in debt when you were dating a millionaire who would send you thousands of dollars at a time sometimes? I feel that I wasn't working myself. I was almost kind of penny pinching, and with the house, I just wanted to make it look really nice for us, so I took on credit card loans in order to make the house cozy for us. Jane says he always held it over her head. Quote, I just hated being on my tippy toes. Like the roof over my head was just gonna come off, like if I made him upset or anything. I just felt obligated to do what he wanted me to do. And so Jane's testimony has had mixed reactions. Some people on the internet are commenting things like, testifying on the stand while having an OnlyFans is diabolical. I'm not really sure how it's diabolical. Some people are saying she's no victim here. And just like Cassie, she volunteered and even paid for the hotel night they claim to hate. They stayed due to greed and wanting this lifestyle. Others comment she did it for money. It's her decision and her responsibility that she feels awful after. It's a price you pay. Others are commenting adult decisions were made, adult accountability is to be had. Another writes, so she basically only brought this situation to the light because she was jealous of Young Miami? Another says, baby, that's why all of them started talking, because they were jealous. It wasn't because they got peed on, they were not abused. It was because they were jealous of other women, period. To which someone comments back, y'all are disgusting. Jealousy didn't lead them there. Diddy's actions did. Y'all literally watch a video of Cassie being viciously beat, which, side note, she was viciously beat trying to leave a freak off. But you don't think that she's being abused? Countless photos and a video isn't enough? It's crazy how even one text thread can have people feeling multiple different ways. For example, in one text thread, she tells Combs, you haven't stopped threatening me over the livelihood of me and my child. Go take your fucking meds and watch the rest of the shit you say to me. You got me fucked up. F you and your fake apology. Combs responds, all good. She responds, match the 2 years like you said, and we're leaving each other alone. Don't call me, don't text me, I'm dead to you. Remember that before you call me. So she's saying match the 2 years and give me money for the 2 years that I spent with you. Combs responds, I'm super clear now. She responds, threatening me over the roof over my head ever since I fucking got here. You have me on constant pins and needles, and now I'm sick because of you. Leave me alone. I will. Let's just leave each other alone. You're fucking crazy for real. Everyone warned me. Now you went too far, baby girl. Wish me the best. And I'm not angry. I'm more surprised. But the beauty is we both don't have to do anything we don't want to do. Jane says, fuck you. You got me sick and now you threaten the house for the millionth time and you're mad at me about a grown-ass man. She was saying that Combs was mad at her about her child's father. Now, some people are using this to argue, she's scary. She's not backing down without a fight. She's cursing at him. She has power. She's a strong woman. Others are arguing, this woman was probably pushed to a breaking point, which made her text these types of things. It's not because she's an independent woman who can stand up for herself. Like, she had to be pushed here. Some argue the fact that she's angry should not be seen as she's any less of a victim. Victims can get angry. They don't have to be weak and soft all the time. What is so hard to grasp about such a concept? Is it really that nuanced? It's not that difficult to comprehend. Additionally, she probably felt like this because part of her feeling was that she wasn't a victim at the time. She probably felt like she wasn't a victim because she probably felt like I'm doing this for my lover. So she's trying to even cope mentally, and maybe even her brain is protecting herself from realizing that she's being victimized in this situation.
Yeah.
In the redirect, Comey brings in a text message thread into evidence from Sean Combs to one of the entertainers. And he texts the entertainer, I'm going to need you to persuade her. Call me in 5 minutes and tell her we've been holding it since last week. If she hears from you, we're in. Jane says she's never seen those messages before.
Wow.
As for the other woman, Comey asks her, Jane, what were you jealous of? Jane starts breaking down. How they just had more ease and I had more pressure, and that I just was made to be like they weren't forced to carry this impossible pressure, and that they didn't have to hold any of that. That they weren't asked to hold that pressure like I did. And I just felt that it was unfair that I was the one being asked to just hold all of that pressure. What are you referring to when you say all that pressure? All the nights with these men? What I was trying to express every time I brought up women was, why do I have to be degraded in order to be with you? Why do I have to break all of my boundaries and compromise myself, and they don't have to, but they can still experience you in ways that I want to? It was never about the other woman. It was about why I was being treated like this. It just feels like Jane's trauma is very real and fresh, but she does tell Comey that she has been in therapy for 3 months now, so maybe she's on her journey to healing. And once Jane is off the stand in a testimony that lasts like almost 6 days, Jane is off the stand, and on her way out, she walks past the prosecutor's table. She leans down and hugs Maureen Comey. Then she walks past the first defense table, and then the next defense table, she leans down and hugs Tenny. And everyone in the courtroom was shocked. One comment,
Like what kind of hug?
like a side hug, like lean down and hug because they're sitting. And one comment reads, as an abuse survivor, she did it because of the tense moments. She's been conditioned that you have to apologize in order to keep peace. I still say I'm sorry for everything. Even a stranger that bumps into me, I say I'm sorry. Another writes, it's a very transparent moment and deeply telling. It was due to emotional overload, conditioned compliance, not wanting to make anyone mad, and seeking validation. Hugging both sides suggests how deeply shaped she's been on the need to preserve peace, even at her own expense. Another reads, it's absolutely horrible the way Diddy uses financial coercion to control so many people in his lives. And that is the end of Jane's testimony. So I have one more episode on this case. We're going to be doing Kanye because there's so much lore, and he shows up, and he actually shows up in Jane's testimony. There's so much to that. And then I think it'll just be the verdict. The defense, it's very interesting. There's so many conspiracies about this, so let me know in the comments. The defense, when they first started, they were saying their defense case in chief could last like 4 weeks. We don't know. Then it went down to, okay, we think it's going to last maybe like a week or two. Then it went down to, it's probably going to last a week. And now the most recent update, Mark Garagos is saying it's probably going to be like a day or two.
So they're only going to bring in like a handful of people even.
I don't even think it's like a handful, maybe like 2, 3, 4.
And they're like, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. That's it. We're going to rest. And then they're going to do closing statements, and then it's going to be the verdict. So this case is actually wrapping up a lot quicker than we thought. We don't know if that means the defense is so confident that the prosecutors did not provide their burden of proof, like they didn't meet the requirement, or if they really have nothing. What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Be safe.